What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Show. My name's AJ Gales. How y'all doing? We are back once more with the weekly show. Yes, I know I said this would be yesterday. I got sick, procrastinated, and it was about 9, 10 o'clock while I was watching election coverage last night that I realized, oh shit, it's Tuesday and I didn't do the weekly show. So I'll put it this way. I'd say 90% I forgot, 10% was, like I said, I got sick and, dealing with the coronavirus tests and everything. I've just been a little stressed, but mostly I forgot. If I can throw that like 10% in there to save me some semblance of a bit. But you know me, this show, when has this show ever been fucking on time? All right. What are we going to be talking about this week? Oddly enough, not anything really to do with the title. I just wanted to celebrate 1 week to next gen. My Xbox, I just got confirmation of my order from Best Buy, so I can go pick up my Xbox Series X on the 10th. Sony has sent me an email telling me that, my order is going to be processed soon, my monetary order, once everything ships. So all that, so I should be getting my Xbox One day one, and again, as long as shipping and everything, and that, as long as I don't get fucked over by Sony, I'm gonna be having my PS5 on, the 12th, because again, I think it was, I can get it day one, I can get it delivered day one, if I'm a PS Plus user, which I am, so everything should be good, hopefully, so. There you go. So yeah, that's my plan for next week. I'm all super excited for that. So what are we going to be talking about this week on the show if this title has nothing really to do with anything? Really, it's not, there's not like a collection of articles or any like one particular topic that I want to talk about this week. It's really just a bunch of short articles. I'm kind of tired right now. I know it doesn't seem like it with how fast I'm talking, but you know me, I talk fast normally. That's just my shtick. So, I'm just a little tired. Nothing really grabbed me this week. So I thought, you know what, let's just talk about some fun, some fun stuff. There's one sort of depressing thing from CD Projekt Red, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But the very first thing that I want to talk about was, I'm going to say this is going to be a short topic, but it's going to end up being 10 minutes because that's just how I am. The very first thing I want to talk about, I couldn't find an article about this, but I saw a few YouTubers talking about this. Apparently, EA lost some big lawsuit in somewhere in Europe. I want to say it was Denmark, but I could be incorrect. Again, it was over that loot box gambling controversy bullshit, which, look, I've mentioned this in the past, and I had somebody way back, I think the last time that I really talked about this, call me an idiot and say, there's a reason I pulled those comments, because as I always say, if you got something, if you disagree with me, look, man, constructive criticism. Man, we can disagree and talk about things, but if you're calling me a fucking moron and you're coming in all like that, yeah, look, I don't want to hear it. It's not worth it. Whatever. It's a whole fucking thing. Sorry. If you can tell, I'm still a little hung up about that. But look, the whole thing this person was telling me was, oh well, you don't understand. I believe it was Belgium was what it was at the time. It was a few years ago. He's like, oh, you don't understand Belgian law. I'm like, no, I understand. EA, yeah, is in violation of the law in these countries, just like this recent country that apparently fined EA. Yeah, they're in violation of the laws. My argument is these laws shouldn't exist. I have stayed firm on that. Excuse me. I do not think that loot boxes are in any way, shape, or form gambling. If you've ever heard me before, I've always said it's similar to trading cards. That's the way that I've always made my comparison, because again, specifically with EA, it's I know it's not laws specifically targeting EA, but EA is probably one of the biggest offenders when it comes to loot boxes. As far as like Ultimate Team and all that stuff, as far as those work, as far as I understand it, I've never played Ultimate Team because I have better things to do. But if you play Ultimate Team, I'm not talking shit about you. I'm talking shit about the game. But as far as I understand how Ultimate Team works, you use the in-game credits. You buy a pack or you buy a card or whatever, it randomizes something and you get a card. There's no chance that you're going to end up with nothing. You're not putting up stakes. You're literally making a purchase of a random item. Again, back when I talked about this before, I said, my dad's been working at a casino for like 20 years. He understands gambling. I've talked with it about him and explained how it works, and he's like, it's not gambling. And, hell, I've been working in a casino for about a year. I've seen gambling. I've seen gambling addiction, which is what these laws are supposed to be fighting. I still cannot equate them with gambling. After seeing it so closely firsthand, I cannot call loot boxes gambling. Look, and if you disagree with me, again, you disagree with me, that's fine. And again, don't take what I'm saying as loot boxes are great for the industry. Oh, they're a good thing. I love them. No. I think they're I don't want to say necessary evil. I think they're understandable why they exist. I don't like them. I get why companies have them. As far as EA goes, it's just a money grab. But other companies who do something with loot boxes or whatever, okay, I can understand why they exist and everything. Like I said, still don't like them, but I get it. I've remained consistent on this opinion for years. Yeah, man, I just have an issue with these governments, because the U.S. I believe talked about some stuff with this a while back. I was not happy about that. I'm glad that nothing ever really came from it, as far as I know. But these European laws, I'm not a big fan of, just because to me it looks like, yeah, it's a bad business practice because it pisses people off, but I don't think there's anything exploitative. Yeah, there's how that word goes. Yes, I guess you could argue it's exploitative because if you want to win an Ultimate Team, you have to spend all this money to get these better packs. I'm like, okay, that's fine, but then just don't play Ultimate Team. Play something else. I don't get why that's a complicated issue. And then, I always see with these, sorry, back to my main point before I go off on this tangent. I don't see it as exploitative. I see it as a cash grab, but it's not exploitative. And other than that, excuse me, these laws exist purely, as they always put it, to protect children from gaining a gambling addiction. That's absolutely ridiculous. These aren't, it's like I said, you can argue that it's maybe exploitative. I argue that it's a cash grab and it's grubby, but it's not illegal. It's business getting involved, or it's government getting involved with a business where I don't think government really has a right to get involved in exactly. It's a little too much. You want to argue there should be regulation. All right, fine, we can argue that, but I think this is overstepping. Again, that's my opinion. As far as the gambling addiction, that this is going to have kids, they're going to learn gambling, they're going to have a gambling addiction. No. Because they're not going to do this and then suddenly go, now I'm going to go play blackjack. I'm going to go play $500 a hand on blackjack. I'm serious. I've dealt blackjack to people who, in the span of 10 minutes, I've taken $5,000 from them. Easy. Like people are always surprised. I'm like I usually don't deal in high limit. I deal out in the front. At our casino, generally table limits are going to be about $15 on a normal night, maybe 20 on a weekend, just because it's harder to get spots. And right now we're at reduced capacity. So, it's about $10, $15, $20 a hand is what, playing blackjack is. So I have people who come in, they sit down. I'm serious. Within a span of an hour, the amount of cash that I change for chips could be $5,000 easy. And again, that's within an hour. Just I don't know. Maybe I'm making something more out of that than it is. Maybe people wouldn't be surprised by that. But yeah, I touch a shitload of cash in a very short amount of time. With that job, it's weird. Sorry, I'm kind of getting lost in talking about my job, but no, you see people dropping so much cash in the way they gamble. Look, loot boxes are not going to directly lead to that. There's going to have to be some other things in life that lead to that moment. Maybe it's an issue with impulse control and whatever, but that's for any addiction. People say that I'm addicted to video games or whatever. Okay, fine. Maybe, because I do have kind of a low impulse control. Okay. That's why I don't gamble. That's why I try and be careful with, drinking and other things. Yeah, I mean, again, I think that the concept of protecting people from getting addictions and whatever, that's one. I mean, that's a nice goal, but I think a lot of that kind of comes down to the individual. Sorry, I've really tangented off my point. But I hope everything that I'm trying to say is kind of coming together. That it's just take it from somebody who sees gambling almost on a daily basis. This isn't gambling. I cannot see this as gambling. I cannot see how this would lead to a gambling addiction for a child. And it's like, well, children are spending all this money. Well, that kid doesn't. Well, one, if that kid has a job, they're spending their own money. Look, I'm 26. I make stupid purchasing decisions. I bought an On statuette. That I don't need. That's going to be delivered, I think, sometime in February. Don't need it, but I bought it. It was like $200. I make stupid purchasing decisions. I'm 26. Yeah, 16-year-olds with a part-time job at McDonald's is going to make a shitty purchasing decision. That's what they do. It's part of learning how to use money as a kid. And for any younger kid, that just has their parents' credit card hooked up to their PlayStation. Hey, parents. Maybe watch what your kid's buying. Just throwing that one out there. But yeah, I'm sorry. I've ranted on and on about this topic. It's just once I get started, I can't stop. It's like I said. I'm beating a dead horse. This is something I've talked about. My opinion has not changed. I just do not see it as gambling. And can't. And I still think these laws in Europe are dumb. I'm not going to sit here and campaign for them to be repealed. But look, I saw it again. It bugged me, and I wanted to talk about it. So there you go. All right. I think I was exactly right that rant took about 10 minutes when I said I wanted to cover that quickly. I should have maybe looked harder for an article or something, but yeah. Like I said, I guess I ranted for 10 minutes to basically say, hey, look, I have a little more knowledge on this subject. Yeah, my opinion hasn't changed. Either way, let's move on to the actual articles. First things first, Sucker Punch job listing requests a writer with knowledge of feudal Japanese history. Article by Chris Moyes on Destructoid. Sucker Punch Productions has opened a new job listing on its corporate website, which has unsurprisingly already set tongues wagging with excitement at a mystery project. Excuse me. Hiccup. The studio is looking for a new narrative writer and specifically asks that ideal candidates have a AAA open-world experience as well as a desire to write stories set in feudal Japan. Knowledge of feudal Japan history is also listed as a positive boon. While this listing is obviously no outright confirmation of anything in particular, it's hard not to get excited about the obvious outcome. Sucker Punch is in the pre-production stage of a Sly Raccoon sequel set in 12th century Kyoto. That's my takeaway, and I'm sticking to it. Let's go, Samurai Carmelita. What? No, clearly this is, the big theory is that this is a Ghost of Tsushima, sequel. I believe from what I've read that, excuse me, that Ghost of Tsushima, severely overperformed. Maybe that severely overperformed isn't exactly the right way to say that, but it's overperformed. It's done better than Sony expected it to, which I'm actually really glad. It's been a while since we've seen a really big Sucker Punch game. I've really been wanting kind of like a samurai ninja game for a long time, so it's really cool to see that game come out. It's honestly my game of the year pick right now. I think this year, really, a lot of the big AAA stuff I was talking, I think it was Face for a Skull on my finale for Marvel's Avengers told me that really a lot of the AAA stuff this year has been a disappointment, and I think he's right. I think a lot. I mean, there's been some gems coming out of some big studios, i.e. Ghost, but for the most part, it's been smaller developers this year. But yeah, I've got Ghost of Tsushima as my game of the year, which is weird because I would only give that game a 9. I wouldn't give that one a 10 out of 10. I wouldn't, anything like that. I'm just trying to rack my brain and think, was there a game I gave a 10 out of 10 to this year? I'm not sure. I might have to go double check. But Ghost definitely needs a little bit of work. I think the animations could be tightened up a little bit. Sometimes it looks a little blocky, little rigid. I feel like it overuses certain scenes, like the characters looking out onto the horizon, saying something deep, but in reality, they're really not saying anything. They're just kind of pontificating, kind of similar to what I do on my videos, but that's beside the point. But no, all in all, I'm very interested in a Ghost of Tsushima sequel. Clearly, I don't think it's going to be set on Tsushima. Frankly, I wouldn't even call it Ghost of Tsushima. I would say Ghost of New Location. I mean, I've suggested this sequel because I thought this would, it's what's pretty much the biggest point in Japanese history is the Warring States era. I would love to see a story where you're a ninja or shinobi, however you want to put it, under the command of Oda Nobunaga. I think that would be really interesting. As far as I know of his story, and look, my knowledge of Japanese history has a lot to do with anime / very minor actual historical facts that have been true in video games. So take what I say with a massive grain of salt. And if I'm totally wrong, call me a fucking moron. That's one of the few times I'll say, yeah, you're good to call me an idiot because I am an idiot. But as far as I know of Japanese history, excuse me, Nobunaga was, or Oda, Nobunaga was his given name. Oda was the family name. Sorry, the Japanese last name first is always it gets me sometimes. But yeah, Nobunaga was, as far as I understood, he didn't like using ninja and shinobi and spy tactics. I mean, he wasn't against using any means to win a battle. He was I believe he was very famous for his use of the rifle. As it came to Japan, he really loved firepower and scaring the enemy. But for the most part, he really didn't like the use of spies. He was going to win maybe with dirty tactics. I mean, I wouldn't even say dirty tactics, but he's going to use the terrain. He's going to use his soldiers in a non-traditional way. He's going to do something on the battlefield that's going to make you... that you're never, you know what I mean? He's gonna fight in an odd way to throw off the enemy. He's gonna use whatever tactic he can on the battlefield to win, but he's not gonna send in a spy to assassinate you in your bed. So like I said, as far as I know, Nobunaga was never a fan of the shinobi. So I think you could actually do something really interesting. You could set it in a very, very massively known time period, but even then you could have some semblance of like an educational aspect to really try and take some of the fantastical elements out of it and really try and teach I don't want to say use video games to teach us stuff, but no, like you can actually use this video game to kind of set it more in the history instead of trying to make something fantastical that'll work for a narrative, if that makes sense, because sometimes the truth is better than fiction. So yeah, I like I said, that's just, again, this is just my theory for a video game. So yeah, I think you could do a cool story with that, having a ninja under the command of Nobunaga, it's kind of like a tense relationship. They don't really like each other, but they have to work with each other for some certain goal. You call it Ghost of what was the region that the Oda had? I can't remember, not off the top of my head. But yeah, so I think that's what it would be. I don't think it would be Ghost of Tsushima again. I think it would be Ghost of blank. So and I think you'd see like the mask come back, and you'd see some returning themes. But all in all, I think a sequel would work. I just don't think a direct sequel will work, I guess is what I'm trying to point out. So really, that's all I got. That's all I got here. Like I said earlier, all these articles are going to be pretty short. I think the rest of everything else is going to be on Push Square. So yeah, we're just going to kind of fire through the rest of this. All right, next up we have some new details on Final Fantasy XVI. A teaser site revealed new character details. Article Liam Croft. This is on Push Square. Let's take a look here. Just as it promised to, Square Enix has today unveiled the Final Fantasy XVI teaser website. The webpage introduced the world and characters of the PlayStation 5 title, and you can check it out through here. Again, links, as always, links to all the articles and timestamps and everything will be down in the description below. Go check it out. The PlayStation blog also has a list of all the new details shared today, so let's run you through them. The game's protagonist is called Clive Rosefield? I'm going with Rosefield, but I could be incorrect on that. Again, this is a Final Fantasy game, so frankly, I'm going to mispronounce everything. And if you think back to the announcement trailer, Naoki Yoshida confirms that the young knight and the tattooed armed man are indeed the very same person. And I quote, "The firstborn son of the Archduke of Rosaria, Clive is a shield who protects his younger brother Joshua, the dominant of the Phoenix. Joshua bestowed the blessing of the Phoenix upon him, giving Clive the ability to wield part of the Icon's fire. However, as the story unfolds, he is swept up into a great tragedy," end quote. Joshua Rosefields is Clive's younger brother, with the twosome joined by childhood friend Jill Warwick. On the adventure, this all takes place in the land of Valisthea, a place surrounded by crystal named Mother Crystals, and I quote, "Countless wars have been fought over the Mother Crystals all around the land, leading to the rise of nations such as the Grand Duchy of Rosaria, the Holy Empire of Senbrek, the Kingdom of Walid, and Dalmekian Republic." The Dalmekian Republic and the Iron Kingdom. Why can't they all be as easy to pronounce as Iron Kingdom? Each with their own culture and ideology. Ongoing skirmishes have been forged Ongoing skirmishes have forged an uneasy peace, there we go, between these nations, but with the emergence of the ruinous blight, that fragile peace is starting to deteriorate. If I can fish my mouse. Sorry, turn down the sensitivity. Maybe that's why I can't find the bastard. There we go. Naoki Yoshida signs off by discussing icons, which are essentially summons from past Final Fantasy games. These are talked up to be some of the most dangerous creatures in all of Valisthea, with the ability to completely destroy nations. Quote, in the Awakening trailer, icons such as the Phoenix, Titan, Shiva, and Ifrit, whatever, make an appearance. As for questions about how many other icons there are in Valisthea, who they are, and what will happen when they come to blows, well, you'll just have to wait for a future reveal to find out, end quote. Do you like the sound of Final Fantasy 16? Discuss your story and character theories in the comments below. Really my one thing that I got out of the Final Fantasy 16 kind of reveal, I can't remember how long ago that was. I want to say it was was it about a month and a half? I feel like that's what it's been. I can't remember when it was. But the vibe I got when I first saw it was that this game, for the past couple Final Fantasies, it seems like we've kind of pushed this sort of technological future, like in 12. 12, was kind of that kind. I don't want to say steampunk, but it was kind of that mix of old-timey and futuristic, that kind of Final Fantasy-esque world that they create. 13 was very much cyber, sort of. It was a future cyber kind of thing. I really don't remember a whole hell of a lot about Final Fantasy 13, if I'm entirely honest. Mostly because I thought it sucked. 15, you were the boy band driving around in the car. This one seems, I don't want to say traditional, but it seems a lot more closer to traditional fantasy than anything else. And again, this is just the vibe I got out of the trailer. So I'm actually really interested to see what kind of story they're going to tell, what kind of world this is going to be. I mean, with a Final Fantasy game, you can never really guess what the fuck's going to happen. I mean, yeah, we still have the kind of like main protagonist anime character, but even then, I think he looks a lot more interesting than our boy band cast from Final Fantasy 15. And I don't want to talk shit about 15 because I actually really enjoyed Final Fantasy 15, but that's beside the point. But there you go. There's again, if you go to the link, you go to the article in the links down below, you can follow the hyperlinks and everything. Go check out the teaser website and everything. I don't know. Tell me, are you guys excited for Final Fantasy 16? Did the Final Fantasy 7 remake kind of put a bad taste in your mouth with Final Fantasy? You know, 'cause I want to say yes, but not to a new Final Fantasy. It really gives me big reservations for the Final Fantasy VII Remake sequel. So, that's my take, but, yeah. Okay, moving on to what could be a massive move by Sony, and I'm not going to say this is an answer to Microsoft picking up Bethesda, but it's kind of funny the timing of this. So apparently Sony is poised to purchase Crunchyroll for almost $1 billion. Article Sammy Barker pushed Square. Which is also kind of funny because I saw another article also of Push Square that said that Sony is looking to bolster its, I believe it was bolster its portfolio with more acquisitions. And I was expecting game studios and whatnot, not like a pickup of Crunchyroll. This is interesting because this is a totally new revenue service other than just video games. Although I guess if you pick up Crunchyroll, there could be a lot of video game tie-ins with a lot of anime, which I'd be okay with. But this is super interesting. Sony's expressed interest in making anime a core pillar of its business, so it's no surprise to see reports that the organization is poised to purchase streaming service Crunchyroll. Nikkei Asia reports that the organization is in final negotiation to nail as acquisition valued at around $957 million. I believe that's US dollars. Let's see here, which would make it a global anime powerhouse. The Japanese firm already owns Funimation and Aniplex. I didn't know they owned Funimation. Interesting. And it's presumably... And it'd presumably be looking to merge the operations of the trio should the deal go through. Crunchyroll currently has 3 million paying subscribers, but it's the 70 million non-paying members that the organization will be eyeing. Anime is big business at the moment, with the new Demon Slayer movie blowing up at the Japanese box office earlier this month, despite the ongoing pandemic that unsurprisingly is another Sony project. Give me a quick second. Sorry about that interruption, guys. Got a call from the office right now. I'm out because I had coronavirus symptoms. I had to get my test and all that. I talked about that earlier in the video. Got a call from the office, just making sure, hey, just checking in, making, getting an update, making sure that I got my test and everything, and blah blah blah. That I was handling it. So, sorry about that. Had to take it. Where were we despite the ongoing count? Right. Earlier this year, the manufacturer hinted how anime can be leveraged to unify all of its core business. There are roles for Sony Pictures, Sony Music, and PlayStation here, with the aforementioned Demon Slayer due to get a Cyberpunk 2 tie-in game on the PlayStation 4 next year. We'd expect more Crunchyroll acquisition news in the coming weeks. Honestly, I think this is a good move by PlayStation. Look, I'm not a Crunchyroll guy. I'm not. I think I have their app in here somewhere. I'm looking at my phone. I do have a Crunchyroll app. Oh, I think I have an account. I have a free account, so I don't really use it too terribly much. I think I got it to watch Toradora and Megalobox when Megalobox first aired. But actually now what I picked up recently, I got an account to Funimation, which I actually really like. I didn't know that they were owned by Japanese. Sorry, I saw Japanese box office there. It took my eye away. I didn't know that Funimation was also owned by Sony. So that's kind of cool there. Maybe, I don't know, if they purchase Crunchyroll and they just fuse everything together, they'll let my account carry over. Ooh, maybe. But no, I have Funimation right now. It's what I'm using to watch One Piece now that I'm trying to rewatch that series. I like the way that the Funimation app works and everything. I've never been a big fan of the way Crunchyroll hides a lot of its English dubs behind a paywall. So I'm not sure if Sony picking it up would change how that would work. Exactly how they'd fuse with Funimation and everything like that. I like the idea of them fusing Sony Film, obviously the Crunchyroll, just the streaming anime itself, mix that with game tie-ins and everything. I think that's cool. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of deal with PlayStation Plus and a Crunchyroll. I'm not going to say that it's a free Crunchyroll subscription, but I wouldn't be surprised if they say, hey, we're going to... I'm trying to think how to put it. That they would make they bump the price a little bit of PlayStation Plus, if you don't want to keep like a PlayStation Plus subscription, and this is entirely just me pulling something out of my ass. This is a theory. This is a suggestion to Sony, if you will. But have your normal PlayStation Plus subscription, like what I have now, and then have one that's maybe a little more expensive or whatever, that I can buy like the yearly thing, or that I do now, or whatever, that I can get another subscription that gives me access to not just PlayStation Plus, but also Crunchyroll. It kind of gives me a nice, it gives me a bundle, so to speak. It's where I'm not paying for both subscription. I'm technically paying for both subscriptions in one, and you give me a little bit of a discount because I'm buying both, if that makes sense. So that's cool. I've been seeing a lot of people kind of go, oh my gosh, Sony's going to be taking over the anime market and everything. I'm like, okay. I mean, the only thing that would make me freak out about that is the way that Sony has really oddly has censored a lot of Japanese games coming over to the West. But as far as I know, they don't censor them in Japan. They censor them coming to the West, which is odd to me. And really, I've been watching a lot of stuff on Funimation that I'm like, I'm not too, knowing that Funimation is also owned by Sony. Okay, I'm not too terribly worried that they're going to censor stuff or really fuck with things too terribly much. Specifically, God damn it, what is that? What's the series that I was watching yesterday? It was really funny. It was really fucking dumb. I think it was called Hensky. I think it's called, what's the English translation? It's like, are you willing to fall in love with a pervert as long as she's cute, or something like that? Like, the title reminds me of, Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Sorry, I went a little weeby there. But no, all in all, I think this is a good move by Sony. I think this is if this deal goes through, this is a good acquisition. I would really like to see them do kind of like a mixed sort of subscription between Funimation and Crunchyroll and their PS Plus and everything, because I'd buy that, because a lot of times, like, I watch anime and everything while I'm playing games, or I have it on in the background. So I think that would be a really cool idea. That's just that might just be me though. So yeah. Hey, look at that! I was able to go through an article without having a downside or a real negative to it. Speaking of downside or negative, on Push Square, Cyberpunk 2077 dev not comfortable but confident in December release date. Article Robert Ramsey, Push Square. Look, in all honesty, I think a lot of people are freaking out about this, or when this first dropped, I think people were freaking out about it. But I think this was just more of an issue of bad timing and misspeak than foreshadowing another delay, because dear God, they cannot delay this game again. They cannot delay this game into 2021. I almost said 2022. Specifically, they can't do it to 2022, but yeah, they can't push this game back to 2021. I mean, the amount of goodwill that CD Projekt Red has gained from fans with the Witcher franchise and everything is already on thin ice right now. I think with this last delay, I think there's a lot of people who are willing, like, okay, guys, you're really pushing it. For the love of God, this better be good. And then there's a lot of people who are just flat out pissed that this game got delayed again, which I'm kind of in both camps. I am pissed that it got delayed. Although on one hand, I am kind of sitting here going, oh, thank God, I can actually get some stuff done in November before this massive game comes out, because I've got a lot of shit coming out, obviously next week with the next gen platforms. But yeah, this statement from CD Projekt was not not good to hear. Sorry, finishing that thought. Basically, what I was saying. I wasn't. There's a part of me that was going, oh, I don't mind this delay, but there's another part of me going, son of a bitch, I just want to play it. Sorry. Now back to the article. I just don't think that this was a good statement to make after this delay, or after this like fourth or fifth delay. Yeah, it's not a good move. Article reads, words from CD Projekt Red co-CEO Adam Kuznicki, that's what I'm going with for the name. If I'm incorrect, I'm incorrect. Don't exactly inspire confidence in the new release date for Cyberpunk 2077. In case you somehow haven't heard, the open world role-playing game was recently delayed again across all platforms. It was meant to arrive on November 19th, but it's been pushed back 3 weeks to the 10th of December so that the team can focus on optimizing the current gen version of the game. See, my guess for that delay was actually, it has something to do with the fact that every time Cyberpunk's been delayed, I think that there's been a major occurrence, or there's been a piece of news that can kind of explain it. I think we can kind of track everything. maybe minus the first delay, because the first delay, because it originally was supposed to come out in February. Then they delayed it. I think that one was just a general delay just to get things, polished up. We just need a little bit more time on it. So, okay, they pushed it back. Then when they pushed it back, I think that one was the May release date. They pushed that one back because of coronavirus. They pushed that one back to, I believe, August. We were coming up into the August release date. That pushed that one back to November. That one, I believe it was because they were having problems with the working from home because of the coronavirus. Reports were coming out that certain voice recordings weren't being done, that there were going to be lines of dialogue in the game that just didn't have an audio for. So again, it got pushed back to the 19th. And this one, I think, because between that point and this point, the next gen hardware got announced. I mean, I'm not going to say that they weren't expecting the next gen hardware, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe it just surprised them. Maybe it was a little earlier than they thought, seeing that they're coming out literally a week after the PS5 comes out. And I guess it's also, 9 days after the Xbox Series X. They weren't expecting to hit that date that close. I think they were still expecting to come out ahead of the next-gen consoles. Now they're coming out after the next-gen consoles, so they don't have as much time to make sure that they can release a patch to get the next-gen versions 100%. I don't know. I'm just throwing out a theory. Maybe I'm trying to give them too much credit. But that's just my take. So I think you can draw a reason for every delay for this game. Not saying it makes people happy, but I think you can see the reason for the delay. So let's see here. Indeed, there's growing concern over how Cyberpunk 2077 will run on PS4, but that's a whole different story. The topic at hand is the new release date, which, unsurprisingly, people don't seem to have a lot of faith in. Speaking during CD Projekt Red's latest call with shareholders, Adam Kaznitsky said, "We feel maybe not comfortable, but confident in the new release date," end quote. Again, not the kind of comment you want to hear if you're betting on Cyberpunk hitting its new date. Even Michael Nowakowski, Vice President of Business Development, doesn't seem totally sold on the idea. When asked if the game would definitely launch on the 10th of December, he replied, "That's more or less what I'm saying, I guess, yes," end quote. The delay is something that CD Projekt Red clearly wasn't planning on until very recently. The game's marketing machine was already in full swing, all kinds of adverts, the 19th of November, blah, 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 blah. Even some of the ads had Keanu Reeves. Like I said, look, I think this is just misstating. I think I think this is one of those people making a mountain out of a molehill. Don't get me wrong, I'm not happy about this. This doesn't fill me with a whole lot of confidence, but I think December 10th, they should hit. And if they don't, holy shit, release the Swarm. There's going to be a reckoning on CD Projekt Red, and they are not going to be too happy with it. That's at least my take, and there we go. We're going to end things tonight on a glib note. Thanks for watching, guys. I know, always come here to see the happiest of happy stories. Hope you enjoyed it. Social media is in the description, as always, along with links and timestamps of everything that we talked about today. Like, comment, not already, please subscribe to the channel, and until next time, guys, my name's AJ Kells, the Something Game Channel. I'm out.